One of the biggest game changers for a lot of businesses is when you start treating social like it's part of your job.
Welcome to the Self-Made Life Podcast, the show for creative entrepreneurs who are building their dream business and life on their terms. I'm your host, Ashley Wyatt, designer, entrepreneur, mama of two, and founder of the Monarch Design Co. And I believe success isn't handed to you, you create it. Here, we're pulling back the curtain on what it really takes to run a business, the wins, the lessons, and the messy in between. Whether you're scaling your side hustle during nap time, redefining your brand, or ready to take your business full time, this show is your go-to for honest conversations, practical strategies, and inspiration to help you grow with confidence. Because being self-made isn't about doing it alone. It's about building a life and business that feels as good as it looks. So let's dive in. Welcome back to another episode of the Self-Made Life Podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Wyatt from Monarch Design Co. And today I'm sitting down with someone who just gets the messy, the real side of growing a business while raising little ones and somehow still makes social media feel doable. Side note here, we originally planned to record this back in August, but of course, back to school, mom life, all the things. But I am just so glad to finally be sitting down now with Kat from Social Cat Media. And Kat helps small business owners really just to sell more and scroll less. She is a mom of two, a lover of all things pink, a fellow Swiftie, and easily one of the most refreshing voices in the content creation space. So thanks so much for being here, Kat.
Thanks, Ashley. I'm so excited to be here and for us to finally have this chat.
Yeah, me too. Before we dive in, we always like to start our episodes with something called Boss or Bust. So something that maybe went really well this past week or didn't really go as planned. But yeah, tell us, do you have a boss or bust moment?
I think my boss moment is like really being intentional, making a plan with my husband leading into the holiday season. We're filming this like end of November, and there's just like a lot happening, as I'm sure you can relate. And I'm having like a minor surgery in December. So there's like a lot of balls in the air. So I feel like we are having like a pretty good plan of attack going into the holiday season. So that is my boss moment of like having the self-care stuff planned and like a lot of the house stuff delegated so I can focus on business leading up to that and then have some time to rest.
Delegation is key and just giving yourself that space.
Yeah, the physical space and the mental space too. I'm like, this is not my responsibility right now.
Yeah, no, it's huge. For me, I'm going to go with a boss moment. I just feel very reflective right now of this past year. It's been a whirlwind. And I finally feel like I'm in a really grounded place of balancing motherhood, entrepreneurship, and I have the right support systems in place and just feeling really grateful. So
I love that. And I think like it's, for me, I want to like mention that the first time I'm not sure if we actually met at this Mother Means Business, but I saw you there. And how old was your baby?
She was 3 weeks old.
Yeah. I just remember like, who is that woman with the tiny baby? I just want to give her a hug.
Yeah. Yeah. In hindsight, like, I can't believe I did that, but like, I'm also so glad that I did that because it really helped me to like get back into my business. So I did take 3 weeks mat leave initially, then for 3 months, didn't happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I've met so many amazing people, yourself included, and I'm just so glad. So if you're, wanting to put yourself out there, even if you are in like that season, I say go for it.
Yeah, there's always someone who is going to be willing to hold the baby. And with like so many moms in business, it's like we've all been there. Like doing client calls with the baby on me, all those things. It's like people want to support you. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's just like showing up even when it's imperfect.
Yeah. So in this episode, we're really going to dive into, what it really means to run a business while raising little ones. We're going to chat about screen time boundaries because I am definitely struggling with that. And avoiding burnout, especially on social media, especially in this like busy season coming up to the holidays. And if you've ever wanted, someone to make your marketing feel lighter and way less overwhelming, Kat is definitely the brains behind that with social with Kat Club, which we will get into later. I'm excited to chat more about that because I feel like that is just a huge weight off of a lot of small businesses' plate. And it's really like that holding hand through that struggle. So,
yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So, let's start with, your world right now. Like, what season are you in both like motherhood and being a business owner? And, if people are brand new to you, like, how did you start Social Cat Media? Where did it all begin?
It all began as a burnt out university student who was studying advertising and did not want to go into the Toronto ad agency world because it was very like hustle culture. You'll sleep at your desk and all these kind of things. Like you just want to win awards. And I was even at that age, I'm like, that is not what I want. So when I graduated from school, I was like, I'm going to explore some other things. I worked in sports for a bit, which was like one of my big passions in life. And then I'm from a small town. I moved to be with my now husband in Peterborough, which is a fairly small community. And I love those like main street businesses so much. And I saw so much potential for them on social media. And a decade ago, like it wasn't the world it is now, right? So people were just getting started with businesses on social. Like we were using Twitter a ton, like a whole different world. And I worked a little bit corporate here, but within 6 months I had quit to go full time in my business because I just was 22 and those are the kind of the decisions you make when you're 22 and you don't have kids and a mortgage to worry about. But almost a decade later, it's been raising babies, growing the business. So my kids are now 7 and almost 4. So we're past the little baby phase, but definitely just like the chaos of school starting and the sibling relationships and all that fun stuff that comes with running a business and motherhood.
So fun. It's so fun, like having two, like it's definitely like a whole new like ball game when you like add another one to the mix. And mine are still pretty little, so I'm just starting to see like their relationship build. But I can only imagine like a 4-year-old and 7-year-old.
They love each other so much and they also annoy each other so much. So
good old siblings. Love that. So you mentioned that you work with a lot of like hometown brands and service providers. What about that niche specifically like lights you up?
It really comes down to the community aspect and like having this ability to really connect with the folks surrounding you. And like, there's so many cool potentials too, like not just reaching your customers, but then like collaborating with other local businesses and like using social really is like how it was created, was like for connecting with people. And I think for those makers and main streeters and hometown service providers, like that is the secret sauce for social. So it's not necessarily what the the big creators who are giving their viral tips and things like that. That's not what's going to work for those businesses. And that's really like, as someone who works and lives in a small town, like a rural entrepreneur now, that like I see the potential, and I don't want those businesses to be left behind with the constant changes and like how noisy it is on social.
Yeah, it's so important now more than ever to support local. I know that there was like a huge like shift with that in 2020 and like through the pandemic, but like I really feel for especially product-based businesses with everything that's been going on with like the tariffs and Canada Post is at it again with another, strike. And it's just so important now more than ever to support local small businesses.
100%. And like, as someone who, talks with these businesses every day, it's like they're having to make really, really hard decisions right now about the future of their business. And I think you said it like perfectly. Like there was that huge surge of support during the pandemic. And I totally understand, because like everyone's money isn't stretching as far as it used to. And often we are like looking for deals and things like that. But my big thing is like, even if it's like one purchase, it doesn't mean like everything has to be local, but like looking for those swaps of like the holiday season is a great example. Is like, can you shop at the local toy store instead of ordering on Amazon? And like, maybe it means you're buying less stuff. But that's probably a good thing anyway. So just looking for those like easy swaps of that one thing you can buy local versus ordering online.
For sure. And I am a huge believer of that. Especially just like I saw a statistic. I don't remember exactly what the statistic was, but it's like it was something around like $1 spent like locally like increases X amount like impact. And it was like huge. And it's like if everyone could just do that, even just a little bit, making those small swaps, like I feel like it would help us as a whole and community so much more.
Mm-hmm. I think like, and like 80 cents like of every dollar spent locally stays in local community. Because you think about like small business owners like want to support small business owners. So like when you buy from the local business, it's like they're putting that money to buy their things from a local business, and they're the ones who are sponsoring your kid's soccer team or like supporting the local food bank. And so it really is this like beautiful recurring cycle of like when you support local, it has this ripple effect.
Yeah, it's definitely like pay it forward. So you've been like pretty open about like motherhood and postpartum and the whole self-funded mat leave. Let's go back to that a little bit.
Yeah.
What has building a business, pre-kids, having kids, and now having your little ones kind of like school age, like what have those seasons really looked like for you?
So I was about 2 years into full-time entrepreneurship a year when I had my first. And I was the first of like anyone that we knew to have a baby, like first of our friends, first of our family. So really the only expectations I had were based on what I saw online. And social media, especially Instagram of like 2018, was the like Pinterest Instagram. So like everything was like curated and no one talked about the real stuff online. So like what I saw was like babies sleeping in their like beautifully decorated nurseries, and like I'm like, oh, this is like no biggie. Like I'll have a baby, it will sleep, I'll work, I'll take 2 weeks off, like gotta recover, and then I'll just go back to work. And as we know, that's not how it works. So that was like a huge eye-opener for me, and like the sleep deprivation and the mental health struggles and not being able to sleep when the baby sleeps, because like that's your only time to work. So that was my first postpartum experience while running a business. Thankfully, I think my daughter was 3 months old. My husband took some parental leave. But then there's still like taking breaks to breastfeed, and you're trying to arrange things around that. So when I decided to have another kid, I knew I wanted to like be more intentional about it and like plan for it. So I saved up money and had all these like goals of taking 4 months off. And I had a team at this point. So I'm like, okay, it's going to work out. But again, postpartum and businesses throw us for loops. And like I had basically like an OBM managing the team and stuff while I was on mat leave. But then we run into things of like people not paying and all these things of like, I need to make calls on. So same thing, baby strapped to me, doing calls, going through like a very deep postpartum depression and all those pieces around the holiday season. It's definitely not what the internet of 2018 made it look like.
Yeah. And I am so glad that people are more vocal about it now, and just, the overall awareness and more support on mothers and postpartum mental health. I definitely like struggled a lot more this time. It hit me like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I knew I needed to get the support and got the support, and it was definitely, not what the movies or like the internet makes it seem. And every baby is different.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm sure you can attest to that with both of yours. Mine were very different. But yeah, just a wild, wild season.
And I think for like business owners too, it's like this whole other layer. Because I know for me, I did like a not what I was expecting postpartum moms group. And this is when I had my first, and like hearing how hard it was for everyone else and like who weren't working. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, it's not that I just suck at this. It's like, this is impossible to do. Like, yeah, that was definitely helpful.
If you're tired of feeling like the bottleneck in your own business, imagine having a fractional CMO and design team in your back pocket, mapping the plan, building the assets, and supporting your growth month after month. That's the Monarch experience. It's my done-for-you brand, website, and marketing partnership for service-based business owners who are ready for things like daily inquiries landing into your inbox, clients finding you on Google instead of word of mouth or being glued to Instagram, people raving about your website before you're even on a call, and a brand that finally matches the level of work and expertise that you're doing. Inside the Monarch experience, we're not just refreshing our logo, we're building out a solid foundation, a strategic brand, a show it website that works harder for you, SEO, and ongoing support so your online presence can grow with you, and so you're not stuck figuring it out all on your own. If you're craving strategy, clarity, support, growth, and impact, check out the Monarch experience in the show notes and see what this could look like for your business.
I was a part of a couple of those groups too, and it was just so refreshing. Like everyone had their own things and battles that they were struggling with, and it just felt like, okay, I'm not alone. And yeah, like I also have a lot on my plate. Like my husband wasn't working at the time. He got let go when we were like 4 months pregnant, and then got a job finally when I think our daughter was like around 3 months. Now it's like a whole different dynamic with like him commuting and stuff. So just knowing that you're not alone, and it's not normal for you to like be working and caring for this little infant baby. I don't know about you, but I found that like my screen time went like through the roof, like newly postpartum. And I really had to like set my own boundaries around that. And I know that screen time boundaries is a huge passion for you. Like, do you have any tips and points? Like, how are you navigating that personally? And as someone who literally works in social media?
Yeah, it's so hard. And that's the thing, like the disclaimer I always want to give when I talk about this, because I am really passionate about it, but I also like, I am by no means perfect. And the creators of these apps, like this is what they do. Like they have really smart people working on them to make us want to keep scrolling. So it's like, you're not a bad person if you're on your phone a lot, because that's literally like, it's hitting the things in your brain that make you want to do it. So it's like not a you problem. It is like a systemic thing, but I do love chatting about some like tips that go beyond the like turning off notifications and things like that. For me, like some of my favorite changes that I've made in the last couple of years, the biggest one, which is not a possibility for everyone, but it's something I always like to talk about, is getting a business phone. So it doesn't mean you have to get like a separate number and like pay a phone plan for it. But if you're like upgrading your phone and then you have this phone, you're like, oh, I could sell, or like, what would it look like to keep that phone and just have it with Wi-Fi and that be where your social media lives? Because then it's like, you can leave it somewhere. It's not coming with you out of the house. You're not checking your email in bed. I actually like have deleted email off my phone as like one of those things. I'm like, I don't need to be checking it when I'm not at my computer. But the business phone has been like the biggest game changer for me. So I'm always like, I want people to be curious about it. Like, yeah, is there a phone laying around or an upgrade happening soon that would allow you to have that separate piece? Because like, if it's always with you and if it's intermixed with like your personal life, it's really hard to separate it. So like, what are some like physical separations we can do? Like having it on a different phone, putting our phone away. We have a spot in our kitchen. Like I actually bought, like I can be influenced really easily by Instagram ads, but it's called the phone box. And it literally is like a wooden box that like opens and closes. It's pink. That has like little slots to put your phone in. So we have that in our kitchen. And that's something that my husband and I are working on, is like when in that like 5 to 7 p.m. after school dinner chaos, it's like super easy to like reach for your phone for that dopamine hit and that little bit of an escape, but putting our phones in there. So it's like, it's not a possibility, because it's really hard to rewrite your brain like in those immediate urges. But like if it's somewhere else, it gives you that little bit of like a time to think through it.
I love that. And I'm definitely going to try that. I thrifted like this really cute like bread box and refinished it. So maybe I will make that our phone tuck away box.
And like for me, it's also, I think about a big part of this is like, what am I teaching my kids?
Yeah.
Because I'm terrified of when they're like old enough to have technology. And I realize like we have to teach them, like, how can you be a responsible person with a phone? And like, we can't expect them to be like, can't have your phone at dinner. You can't do these things if they're seeing us doing it. And so that's a piece of it for me too, is like, let's build the habits now. Like we are, if I had it my way, decades away from them getting devices. But still, it's like, let's build these habits now. And then like, I have anxiety. So part of it too is like, we don't have a landline. So we taught our 7-year-old a couple years ago, like how to make an emergency call on an iPhone. But like, she needs to know where a phone is. If it's like always all over the house, where do you go for a phone? So like, those are some of the anxiety pieces at play in my brain that also kind of guide some of my decision making.
That's such a good point. And I mean, like my son, my oldest, is 2.5. So like,
you're not there yet.
I'm not there yet, but honestly, like it's something that I definitely should be thinking about because, you know, God forbid, I don't want anything like to happen, and I want him to know how to handle a situation like that too.
Yeah, I think my daughter was like 5, probably, when we started teaching her the like, yeah, you hit this button this many times, and then it's like, it's super easy once you know like how to do it. But it's like, and then I think about too was like, as they get older, I could see us having a deactivated phone that has Wi-Fi that, you know, they can iMessage or WhatsApp friends on, but it's like that phone lives in the kitchen. It goes to the same spot. It's not going into bedrooms, and just trying to start those habits early, way before we actually need them.
Yeah, no, that's a really good perspective and point. And I've actually seen like floating around, I think on the internet, that there are a lot of like millennials that are shifting towards like wanting to actually get a landline phone.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of here for it. Like I was telling my husband the other night, I was like, I wouldn't be mad about getting a landline.
Yeah. There's also a company in the US that, because I have a client who's in the US and her girls are older, and I'm trying to think what it's called, but it's a digital landline, and it's designed to look like the old school like phones, and it's like meant for kids. So like you put in the numbers they can call and like have that ability for them to stay connected with their friends, but also like not giving them a smartphone. Oh, it's called the Tin Can.
Yes, I've seen that and I've heard of it. And I think that's honestly brilliant. And I love that nostalgia.
Yeah, I think there's like, I'm hopeful that this generation of parents are really kind of reimagining and rethinking screens, like specifically like social and like phone access for kids. And I think it's just like, what are the itty bitty steps we can take as parents in our like daily lives to work on that? Like, and we're not going to be perfect and we're not going to change things overnight, but just, yeah, those small like micro changes.
Yeah, I think that's so important, especially just as like busy parents, busy entrepreneurs. Like life is just so busy. As a busy entrepreneur, and like, you know, we don't have like endless time for doing all the things, but what have you find like works best for busy entrepreneurs who don't have all this time to spend like filming and editing? Like, is there any like productivity hacks that you can share when it comes to like content and like social media?
Yeah. One of the biggest game changers for a lot of businesses is when you start treating social like it's part of your job. And it's really hard because typically what I see is like social is the thing that we squeeze in of like in the margins. So it's like at night or these pieces. But when you actually schedule it into your calendar, you're able to be a lot more productive with it. And I love talking about like there's like brain science behind it, that when we can repeat a task, our brain does it quicker and it's easier for you. Just like writing that one caption is really hard. But once you write that one caption, that second caption comes a lot quicker and is a lot easier. So like the biggest game changer is setting aside time in your calendar for social. So it's not just that like squeezing it in, stressed, like overwhelmed that you haven't posted in a bit. It's in there. It's in your calendar.
Yeah. So do you like batch your content then? Like I used to batch my content on like Sunday afternoons, like when the kids napped, and if I was home, I would batch out like the week in advance. But of course, the holidays have fallen off track with that.
Yeah. And that's like the batching piece is super helpful. So for me, it's like a Monday morning activity because the week hasn't, there's no fires have started yet. And so inside the Social with Kat Club, we do a co-working every Monday morning so that members can come and get that content, get the time in their calendar, get their content done. Because you're able to get so much done in an hour of that dedicated time versus like trying to squeeze things in here and there.
I love that. I am definitely going to try for that like Monday morning prep. Because with everything, coming up the next couple of weeks, like we're not home or we got this, we got that, we're driving around doing all the things. So,
and I like romanticize it for yourself, because if creating content isn't your favorite thing, if it's not, that's okay. I'm proud of you for doing it anyway. But like, get a coffee, go to a coffee shop, or like make a fancy coffee at home, put on music, put on your fireplace, like whatever gets you into that creative space. That's going to go a long way for it's like an activity that you actually enjoy instead of being stressed about it all the time because you're always behind.
Yeah, I love that. And like that kind of like answers like one of my other questions that I had was like managing like the mental load. But I love kind of like shifting that perspective of like, once you kind of set yourself up and make it all vibey, then you're more likely to like look forward to it every week, right?
And if you're having fun and enjoying creating the content, it's going to show in the content that you create, and your community is going to notice it too. And like in most cases, like your engagement is going to increase because like you can feel that and you can see that through your content.
Yeah. Speaking of like engagement and like the whole metrics, what are some of like the mindset shifts that you recommend to kind of like detach your worth from those metrics? Because it's so hard to like get stuck in like that loop and like spiral of like, oh man, I spent all this time on this content and it got like 2 likes.
Yeah, and it is so hard. For me, it's like looking beyond that one specific post and remembering that like one post can't do everything. And it really is like this breadcrumbs that you're leaving for your audience. And so there's some posts where the goal is going to be, maybe it's more views, lots of comments, like you're building that connection, you're creating that relatable content. There's other content where that's not the goal. Like it is more about selling your services and showing people why they should work with you or buy from you. Typically that content is not going to be your top performing content. And that is okay because that is not the goal for that content. The goal of that content is selling. And people might not like that post, but that might be what's leading them. That post might be the one that's leading them to your website or causing them to DM you. And like the way people engage is so different now that like people are really stingy with the actual like act of liking your content. Often they're watching it. They could be even saving it or sharing it, but they're not liking it. So really it's that work of like reframing it in our brain of that's not the goal of this piece of content, and really getting sure, like specific on why you're posting it. What is the goal? And knowing that it's not always just likes and views.
Yeah. It's more of like those like vanity metrics that, cause us to put on those like rose colored glasses on and not really realize. And like, yeah, people are engaging a lot differently. There's a lot of like silent, lists or watchers, absorbing and like interacting like with your content, but not necessarily like seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the analogy of like the breadcrumbs, because like I always like explain branding and consistent branding for my clients as like it's building that consistency, repetition, so that you are top of mind. And so like the more that you're posting, even if it's not getting the traction, the visual traction that you think, like it still has an impact on the bigger goals of those people who are silently watching.
100%. If like someone refers your business to someone and that person comes check you out on social, like even if that post didn't perform well, quote unquote, it still could be the post that makes them decide that, yeah, this is the person I want to work with. Like my friend recommended them and I love their style. I love their vibe. I love the way they do what they do. That doesn't have to be like high performing content for it to work for your business.
Yeah. And when it comes to like the actual content that is maybe like working or not working, like can you share like maybe 3 simple like content ideas that someone could start implementing today? Like nothing that's gonna like cause them to like overthink and like no like aesthetic pressure.
Yeah. One of the easiest and high performing pieces of content right now are carousels that are photos with text on screen. So like, yes, there is a place and value in those beautiful branded graphics and assets that you're creating, but they don't always have to be that fully designed look. So the connection piece on social is huge. And so those carousels, the branded, that's like great for building your, what's the word I'm looking for? Like showing your brand, like your expertise, all those things. But then when we're connecting with people, there's this opportunity to get a little bit, a glimpse of a behind the scenes. So grabbing some photos from your camera roll and adding text on screen directly in Instagram allows you to share like what I'm working on outside of my business this week. Or is it the local spots that you're hitting up this season? Those pieces of content go a really long way for building that connection. And connection is what makes people stay following, even if they're not ready to purchase from you right now. But it builds that community. So like when they're ready to buy your product, book your service, you're going to be the one they think of.
Yeah, I love that. And that's something that I've been like implementing for like the past like couple of months. Like I've been doing like a life lately, like camera roll dump. And to be honest, like it's been like the most fun for me to like create. And I've definitely seen more traction and like engagement and like connection because of that too. So I love kind of like bringing back that like personal connection point into like social.
Yeah, people want to support you. And like the cool thing about being a small business owner is like we have this connection built right in because we are a person and we have to share that to give our community the opportunity to care about us because they want to celebrate you. They want to shout you out and connect with you. We just got to give them the opportunity to.
Yeah, I love that. Before we wrap up, tell us more about Social with Kat Club and, you know, who is this perfect for and what can people kind of like expect inside the club?
Yeah. So when we think back to my passion in my business and working with the makers, the main streeters, the hometown service providers, I saw so much potential for them on social, but also knew that for many, hiring a social media manager was not in the budget for them. So the club was born out of this want to give them the tools and have them, like most people have not studied marketing or gone to school for social. So having that support of having a social media strategist in their back pocket. And that's really what the club was born out of. So each week we have weekly Reels prompts. So I'm taking what's trending in the world and translating it for the businesses in the club with examples and hooks specifically for the businesses in the club. We have calls each month. So we have a a group call, which actually we'll be doing later today after this podcast recording, which is a chance for that feedback and strategic support. We have one-on-one office hours, co-working calls every Monday to get the content done, and then support in Slack. So it really is that wraparound support, because not just trending reels that we need. It's like we're doing workshops about the carousels, and we are batching content together to make it feel doable, to not have to do social media on your own and have to figure it out on your own, but have that strategic support to give you the ideas and help you get it done.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that, like community and sort of accountability in there too. Cool.
Yeah, that's the cool thing for me is like to see the community really being built in there, and like businesses supporting each other and like hyping each other up on social and supporting each other in the chats has been really cool to see.
Well, Kat, thank you for bringing your honesty, your humor, and just like your real life insights into this community. I know that so many moms, parents, creatives, small business owners are just really going to feel seen, and maybe like even a sigh of relief after this episode. That's my goal, at least, for your takeaways. But yeah, thanks so much for joining us. And I'm actually going to be on Kat's podcast next, so we're going to hop on over there. So we'll have to like link the two, so that you can also tune in on the other side too. Thanks so much.
I love it. Thanks for having me, Ashley.
Oh, before we go, where can our listeners find you online?
Yeah, so I am on Instagram at socialcatmedia. My website is socialcatmedia.com. And then my podcast, where you'll be able to listen to episode Ashley, is Social Goals.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Kat.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for hanging out with me today on the Self-Made Life podcast. If you loved this episode, share it with a friend, leave a review, or hit follow so that you never miss an episode. Want to work together or grab some free resources? You can always find me over at www.themonarchdesign.co/podcast. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep building, and go create your self-made life.
This podcast is produced, mixed, and edited by Cardinal Studio. For more information about how to start your own podcast, please visit www.cardinalstudio.co or email Mike at mike@cardinalstudio.co. You can also find the details in the show notes.